I'm Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter. I'm the head coach for JobSearchCoachingHQ.com. That's a site where I offer curated information that you can watch, listen to, or read that's going to help you find work more quickly. Plus, you can ask me questions about your job search, get answers from me. That is really quite valuable. If you know how much I charge for coaching, you'll understand why I say that. And today I've got some of those stupid resume mistakes that way too many people make that I want to kind of intercept you about. So the first one is, don't write this enormous 10-page or 5-page document. No one's going to read it. No one cares about what you did back in the Stone Ages. Get concise. Think about what the hiring manager is looking for. Focus in on that. Number two is there are instructions about how to submit your resume. If they want a PDF, send them a PDF. If they want a Word doc, send them a Word file. It's really that simple. And make sure your resume demonstrates a fit for the requirements. So often, the standard generic resume that you're going to be submitting does a half-assed job of doing that. Laser in. Focus in on what they are looking for and make sure your resume actually demonstrates the fit, ideally within the first half to 3/4 of the first page. Next, you have an email address that shows that you're a mass murderer. I'm not going to give you examples, but I'm just going to suggest that some people's email addresses are insane. Don't have a stupid email address. Another item that they do is references are available upon request. Everyone knows you're filling in space when you put that and you're trying to balance it out. You are better off putting in 3 lines of information there rather than that stupid statement. And the opposite of that is you actually put references on your resume. What you're unfortunately doing way too often is, especially if you're sending this to a third-party recruiter, you're giving them people that they're going to call and either try to recruit or they're going to try and get referrals to try and fill their position. Yes, you may be a candidate, but they would like to fill the job and they feel better if they have 4 candidates to submit, one of which may or may not include you, and you're giving them leads for people who they might be able to contact. Next, your resume. You decide to design your resume in order to be hot. And if you're not a designer, you really don't know what you're doing. So don't put in a design resume with different fonts and colors and sizes and titles. Just stick to a pretty traditional approach, but with great information that's in the first half to 3/4 of the first page of the resume. Most of you wind up looking as though when you're doing design, you think you have an artistic quality, but you don't. And the result is you look like you're sending a ransom note to people. Don't do that, okay? Conversely, I'm not a big fan of templates, and I know most readers aren't a big fan of templates. There's a lot of things that get embedded in the templates, particularly in Word, that make a resume look ordinary, and they become difficult to parse if they're inputting it into their applicant tracking system. So resume templates are not ideal because the systems wind up using frames. And again, that interferes with what happens when they try and input it into their system. In addition, if you're not using a template, which I don't want you to do, don't use embedded headers on the resume. And that could include your name, address, phone number, or page 2 of 2, things along those lines. There's a couple of reasons. One is sometimes the systems have trouble reading that. And if they're inputting your resume into their ATS, sometimes they have trouble parsing what's in there. And they're not going to go back and rekey it. In other words, you're causing a problem for them for government reporting and for a couple of other things. If they can't get into their system, they can't reach back to you at a later date if another position opens up. You want to make that part of it easy. In addition, sometimes when you use embedded headers, things don't line up properly. So suddenly you have page 2 of 2, and a couple of lines down from the top, or it could be on the bottom of page 1, because different versions of Word line up differently. Also, that page 2 of 2 or page 2 of 3, that was a necessity when you were actually sending paper documents. These days, you're sending everything through email. The idea that you're telling people that you have a 3-page resume and they're on the second page isn't necessary anymore. So get rid of that. Just don't embed anything into your resume and do that silly thing about what page they're on. Next thing is, sometimes, and this is particularly true for less experienced workers, you feel compelled to list every job that you've had, and you've taken something temporarily at, I don't know, the dry cleaner in your neighborhood, a Starbucks, whatever it is, and it draws attention away from the last relevant job that you've had, which may be in engineering or in IT. No one cares that during the last 4 months you've been working at the dry cleaner if they're trying to fill an IT position or an engineering job that immediately preceded that. Better to not have it there and have a simple line next to the date of your most recent relevant work, an asterisk, taking them to the end that says, during the time where I've not been working, or I haven't been working in IT, I've been working in a non-IT related function while looking for a position. Don't list your job at the dry cleaner or at the Starbucks. Last dumb thing, too much information, and it's personal information. So, why would someone put in to a resume, and I saw this last week, that they're single, married, or divorced. And I can only expand that to gender, age, race, what have you. Personal statistics like this are difficult for an employer to handle because it puts them at risk of discrimination accusations. Don't put a picture on your resume either, although I know in some parts of the world that's ideal because you want to show yourself to be a professional-looking individual. On a U.S.-centric resume, don't have a picture, don't have intensely personal information there. I hope you found this helpful. If your job search is stalled, and I want to mention this specifically, if you're stalled, I do something called the job search makeover, where we sit down with one another. I go through your resume, your LinkedIn profile. I talk with you about what you're doing, your searches. It takes about an hour of time. Email me at jeff.altman@thebiggamehunter.us, and in the subject line, put the words job search makeover. I'll get you back, put you back together again so you get better results. And you can find out more about this at my website, thebiggamehunter.us. I hope you have a great day and take care. Bye.